Is Spotify playlist promotion a scam? It's a pretty loaded question, but if you're watching this video, chances are pretty good that it's a question you want to know the answer to. And that's fair because there are a lot of companies out there that are claiming to offer Spotify playlist promotion, but that maybe seem a little bit sketchy, seem like they promised the moon, or they have bad reviews. And then on top of that, you have a ton of YouTubers and artists who have made videos or written reviews of different companies claiming that somebody or other is a scam. Now, my take is that things are actually not as black and white as maybe you would hope, and that they are actually pretty gray. In this video, I'm going to break down what I mean by that and whether or not I think Spotify playlist promotion is a scam. Let's get into it. This might be a little bit lame, but I want to just define what a scam is, because I think that term gets thrown around a lot in the world of marketing and just the internet in general. And here's what a scam is. It's something that has dishonest or fraudulent intent. It's intentionally trying to screw you up. Now, in my experience, based on that definition of a scam, at least 80% of the Spotify playlist promotion companies out there are not scams. They're not being intentionally dishonest or fraudulent. I've worked with over a dozen of these companies at this point. There are not that many companies out there that are actively promising one thing, delivering another, or actively lying to you. They're not being intentionally dishonest. So I think in general, if we're going by the literal definition of a scam, most of these companies are not quote unquote scams. Now, I think when most artists are asking this question, is this a scam? What they actually want to know, the answer they actually want to know is, does this work the way that I want it to? And that's a totally different question, but I think it's a good question, and we'll get into that in this video too. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is look at Spotify's terms and conditions, and actually this is the user agreement section of the Spotify for Artists terms and conditions. And there are 2 points here that Spotify lays out that apply to these playlist promotion companies. So I'm going to read points 7 and 8 of their agreement, and I'll link to it in the description too. So these are things that Spotify says if you do them, they reserve the right to take your music off of the platform. Number 7 is selling a user account or playlist, or otherwise accepting or offering to accept any compensation, financial or otherwise, to influence the name of an account or playlist, or the content included on an account or playlist. Or 8, artificially increasing play counts or follow counts, artificially promoting content, or other manipulation, including by using any bot, script, or other automated process, providing or accepting any form of compensation, financial or otherwise, or any other means. So clearly what we have here is Spotify trying to dissuade people from paying money to influence their stream counts. There are a couple issues with this. It's not bad to pay money to put your music in front of people. Spotify literally allows you to do that on their platform with their own ad system. So the concept of paying to put your music in front of people is not morally wrong in and of itself. What they're trying to avoid here is payola, and that's this whole other topic I'm not going to get into, but it's from back in the day with radio DJs. Basically, they don't want people to be able to unfairly pay for publicity without it being clear that the thing that they're paying for is an ad. It gets complicated. So the most important thing is that when you're paying a Spotify promotion company, they're not promising to put your music on any particular account or any particular playlist. There are a few ways they do it. One would be they're promising to review your music instead of placing it on an account or a playlist. That's the Submit Hub model. Number 2 would be that they're essentially guaranteeing that they can place your music with somebody, one of their curators, but they're not guaranteeing that it will be on a specific account or a specific playlist. So obviously this is a little bit muddy. Does it go against the spirit of what Spotify is trying to prohibit? Maybe. At the same time, I know for a fact that Spotify is in communication with some of these playlist companies, so you can't say that they're not aware of it. So yeah, it's definitely a little bit murky, but it's also definitely not outright a scam because they're adhering to the letter of the law. So with all of that said, I think the question that you're really wondering if you're watching this video is, will these playlist promo services work? Does Spotify playlist promotion work? I had an artist reach out the other day asking if Groover and Submit Hub and Playlist Push and all those things were actually illegal, and if in consequence of using them, Spotify would punish him and punish his music in the algorithm. I can definitively tell you that Spotify won't punish you for using Submit Hub or Groover or another submission platform like that. What they will punish you for are streams and engagement that look sketchy. And you can maybe generate some of those using some of these platforms, but they're not going to punish you for using a specific service. They're going to punish you for bad engagement. So does Spotify playlist promotion work? The answer, in my experience, and again, I've run dozens of campaigns, I've used over a dozen companies, is that they work sometimes. Now, here's what always happens. As long as you're working with a generally above board company that is not totally ripping you off with bot streams. What will always happen is that you will get on some playlists and you will get that initial spike. And if it is what I'd consider an unsuccessful campaign, after that initial spike dies down, you'll be back at a flat line, basically the same thing you were before you paid for playlisting. Now, on a campaign that I consider successful, you start here and then you pay for the playlisting. It goes up when you're on the playlist, and then it ends. And after you're taken off the playlist, you stay at this higher level. I'd say that a successful campaign happens about 1 out of 5 times when I've used one of these services. The other 4 times you get the spike and you go back to 0. Now, is that a bad thing? Maybe. It depends on the playlist you were placed on, but you're still ending with 30,000 streams when otherwise you would have had none. The conversation then becomes about streaming engagement, like are people engaging with the songs when they're on the playlist? And that's a pretty complex topic to unpack, but I'll just give you a couple thoughts. First is that playlist streams will always be less engaged than like ad-based streams or streams from your existing followers, so people on like release radar who are seeing your music. And that's because playlists are like inherently on in the background while people are doing other things. That doesn't mean that streams from playlists are bad. It doesn't mean that if you are on playlists that you're going to be suppressed, like Spotify is going to throw you in a corner somewhere and you won't be able to get any more streams after that. That's just the nature of streams from playlists. And so I like to balance streams from playlists with more engaged streams from ad campaigns, but I don't think that being on playlists is inherently bad. Okay, there's a ton more we could get into, but as a last thing, I just want to show you 2 examples real quick of playlisting campaigns. One that I ran a year ago, so you'll be able to see how the spike happened and how it settled at a new normal. And one that I just ran like the other month, and so you'll be able to see what I'm hoping will happen from that campaign. So let's flip over to the laptop, and we can see whether or not these playlist campaigns were scams. All right, so here's the streaming data from a song that we ran a playlisting campaign for about a year ago with Playlist Push. And you can't see because I can't set like a longer date range than 12 months, but before this spike here, which is when we ran the playlisting campaign, it was at like nothing. 50 streams a day maybe. And then we ran this playlisting campaign for about a month, and we got up peak around 1,000 streams a day. And then it got taken off the playlist, and we ended back at this new normal. And there's been just some random bumps throughout the year, but basically it settled at around a few hundred streams a day for the rest of the year. That's what you should hope for from a playlisting campaign. Clearly, it worked. If we hadn't run that playlisting campaign, it would have continued at the 50 streams mark for who knows how long. So here's another playlisting campaign that just wrapped up last month, and I'll show you the longer date range. We run this playlisting campaign, bang, it's up to like 2,000 streams there, 1,500 streams a day for the whole like month and a half. It's on the playlist. It's taken off, and it's still getting hundreds of streams a day, whereas for the past 12 months, it was getting like 211. So is this the most effective way to get in front of people that will definitely like your music? Probably not. Is it the most cost-efficient way to drive a ton of streams? I think that it is. And then can it lead to longer-term results? I think pretty clearly yes. So we'll see what happens over the next few months with this song, but it looks like this is going to be on track to generate hundreds of streams a day, even after the initial playlist boost. And that's what you want from a Spotify playlist promotion. Now, again, I'd say that successful outcome where you start, you get the boost, and then you end higher, that happens maybe 1 out of 5, 2 out of 5 times, and it's dependent on the quality of the song, the quality of the playlist that you get on, a ton of things, but it can work. I wouldn't consider Spotify playlist promotion just an outright scam. There also are definitely companies that are outright scams, but if you do your due diligence, it can be a cost-effective way to drive streams. So hopefully this stuff was helpful. Good luck out there. Don't live and die by streams, but hopefully you keep making good music you're proud of, and I hope you find an audience for it.